they're for my dad. They're my dad's birthday.
Neo. Give us a Neo.
I'm a legit old man, I can't.
It's been a process, definitely, you know, with having, you know, you don't just come out once and then everybody knows and then, you know, everything just goes to the way normality is meant to be. So it's definitely been a process. People's reactions, you know, some people have been really positive, really good about it, and then obviously some people haven't, and having to explain more. But, you know, it is just one massive process, really. When it comes to like acceptance from like older generations, so like coming out to my mom hasn't been the best, because having to like explain it a lot more in detail and trying to make her see how I feel about gender is quite difficult from someone who's grown up in a completely different generation who doesn't have these feelings. So yeah, it's definitely been challenging in some areas depending on who had to come out to. But because, you know, of lockdown and the world we're living in now, like things aren't normal, so it's hard to know what normal is in this experience. I've been able to feel more myself, and I've wanted to express myself more and come out more and, you know, show who I am. And I think it's made me more confident, like 100%. I've definitely become more confident, and that's in a way improved my social life. So I've been able to definitely make more friends, like really good friends, so definitely. I try my best to be as confident as I can and own what, you know, who I am, and I am getting there, but I think it's a lot of that is myself and not worried about other people's opinions, definitely, especially new people that I don't know their views. I'm with the doctors in my hometown, which is a very small kind of village, and I've like had to come out to them multiple times and had their reactions, which hasn't been the best. And I know a lot of my friends that are in kind of the same situation as me, like the waiting list is forever, and so it's not very accessible at all in the slightest. So really the only option has been to go private, which many don't have like the luxury of. I know it varies, but I know people don't even receive a letter for nearly a year, and then to have to go through and then to even arrange to have that appointment even longer, and like, you know, doing like research into it for my own, like for me, I know that they're still seeing patients from like 2017, and like, you know, the waiting list is very, very long. I think it's getting there. I think, you know, as you know, the media and more people started to become more open about who they like truly are, I think they've realised that there's a market for it. And I think, you know, with like more shows are becoming more LGBTQ plus friendly, and so it is getting there, but I feel like especially growing up there was no like representation at all. Personally, I think with like the best representation is where it isn't the main focal point, it's just seen as normal and it isn't made like this big thing. And I think like, you know, with films like Love, Simon, they're great for representation, they are, but it would be nice to see where it's just like that character isn't seen as like their journey is like just normalised, and it isn't like the main focal point, where it's just normalised to where you can just have like a trans character and that be okay and it not be like an issue. Definitely. I feel like there is that massive stigma as that you're not trans if like you aren't masculine. And I know there's like, you know, I've heard like, you know, especially when it comes to like trans women, some trans women haven't felt like they could wear, like they don't like skirts, they don't like dresses, and then, you know, it doesn't make them feel trans enough, where actually like clothing isn't like gendered, like anyone can wear anything. And I think removing that stigma from clothing and makeup and interests, if you remove that and you just look at what makes someone trans, like they don't really link. So I do feel like, yeah, I am like, you know, I do have to like masculise myself, so I don't get misgendered, feeling like I can be open with it and not caring about other people, trying my best not to let other people get to me is just like definitely my favourite thing. Like now that I've accepted myself and been able to be out, I definitely feel more part of a community. Growing up and having those sex education like talks, trans, like anybody that like was trans is just not mentioned. You had like the basic male and female sex education and nothing else was taught about it, and I think getting that representation and getting that knowledge out so everybody knows, I think it would just make everything so much better. So it would be easier to understand other people. Like even if you don't know any trans people in your life, it's like you know what to say when you meet someone, and you like it should just be normalised to ask people's pronouns, and that just should be a normal point of conversation when you meet someone new. And especially like with the healthcare, like you know, having more gender like surgeries and places that specialise in gender across the UK would be incredible. Like you know, there's not one in Birmingham, and so it means people have to travel, spend money, and where it should just be basic, you know, should just be normal. Like you know how you get a leg fix, like you know if you broke your leg, you could go to, you know, should be just seen as the same. Definitely. Better than a radish. I hate radishes. I could, if someone put that in my salad instead of a radish, I'd radish. Yes. Thank you. Really cool, actually. For every good experience, there's been equal and opposite bad, and I am so grateful that it hasn't been as bad as it could be. Like in the UK, it's a lot more like normalised. It's been decriminalised and everything, so it could be a lot worse. But it's just been a journey. Most of it is just interpersonal stuff. So stuff with my family. Now that I'm out, it's okay that I have like a girlfriend, but I can't get married to a girlfriend. I can't have a wife, because then not only is it just within my family, it will go outside my family. I cannot lie, that does keep me up at night. Since coming out, it's not only is it, some of the bad experiences have made it kind of worth it, because people that don't understand, people that don't care, they remove themselves out of your life, because you know that's not who they want to associate themselves with. And it's been better for me, because those are the same people that I don't want to associate myself with either. If this is something you can't accept, I don't want you in my life, because it's all that is important to me is being myself, and if I can't have friends that care about stuff like that, then I don't need them. It does affect me in the workplace, because I can't be honest. I can't have connections with my co-workers or just with people in general, because I'm scared of what they might think on a certain topic. And you know, people don't want to talk about politics, people don't want to talk about stuff like that. And something like being gay, being so heavily politicized, makes it difficult to just be gay without being political. So it's quite a drag. There's no like transitioning for me. I don't have to, but I understand how difficult it will be for a lot of other people, especially a lot of my friends. So to witness it for them and thinking, well, if I want to do this later on, it's just going to be just as difficult, maybe more difficult, isn't very encouraging. It's been difficult. A lot of them go through, they have to do it privately because the NHS will take forever to do it. A lot of them are just held up for such a long time that it's almost not worth it, because they have to wait so long to be who they want to be. Luckily for one of my friends, they started T on Monday, so
they're feeling pretty good. It has been a long journey for them, and you know, there's no funding for stuff like that, so they all had to do their own like GoFundMe's and stuff like that. So it's been nice to see people help them, but charity doesn't make up for what the government should be doing for people in the slightest. They shouldn't have to do it that way. Not every movie has to be, you know, this exciting, like, handcrafted, like, piece of media that is gonna win every Oscar. It's just so nice to have like a coming of age film with two girls, or a coming of age film with like a trans girl and a guy. Like, small stuff like that really means a lot to people like me and, you know, like other gay people, because your entire life isn't this monumental thing that builds up to, you know, this scene in a film. It's just a series of events that you have to just overcome. You know, all these gay tropes like kill your darlings, like, ridiculous. There's no need for it to end like this. It's like it almost always has to end in tragedy when we're still here. We're not going anywhere. There's no tragedy here. Every outfit I wear is just like, am I non-binary enough? Do I look gay enough today? And like, it is nice sometimes to know that like, oh, I look very gay today, I look very gender today. But like, still the thought that like, if I tell someone, oh, I go by they them pronouns, or oh, I'm non-binary, they're like, well, you don't look it. And like, the thought of that happening is just like, it's so off-putting, because again, like, being non-binary has got absolutely nothing to do with how you dress. It's just how you feel. But it's like, if you want to be non-binary, you have to dress a certain way. And especially the type of like image revolving around non-binary people is just like woman light or man light, and it's really just not that. But it's just so easily reduced to that, and because of that, like, that image of it makes you want to go away from it, but then you can't be who you want to be. So it's like, you want to fight a stereotype, but you also want to be yourself, and it's trying to balance that in a way that makes you happy. It's quite difficult to manage every day. But I've just learned that like, the stereotype's not my fault. I didn't do that, and you know, I should be able to dress exactly how I want to dress, and no matter how I dress, like a skirt, trousers, waistcoat, whatever it is, like, I'll still be non-binary at the end of the day, no matter what. I came out to my friend at college about being non-binary, and the second, like, because I'd never said it out loud before, the second I like said, oh, by the way, I'm non-binary, and I use they them, I just felt like this weight lifted off my chest. Like, I don't have to be a woman, I don't have to be a man, I don't have to perform masculinity or femininity in any way that means I'm a man or a woman. I can just be like nothing but everything at the same time, and it was just such a like heartwarming feeling to feel. Just like, it feels liberating. I don't feel belonging to like an LGBT community in a way. I feel like there's still a lot of problems within the LGBT community that, you know, this label that you put on yourself it doesn't negate that this like problem that we've got, like the whole anti-blackness. Like, there's still so much like rampant transphobia, people trying to get rid of the T. So I wouldn't say that I feel closer to them, but I do feel closer to other gay people just generally, like not the community as a whole, but just amongst other gay people. There's this safety I feel around them, especially non-white LGBT people. There's this understanding that we all have of just how difficult things are, and you know, you've got this intersectional label where you're not white but you're also not straight as well, and it's nice that someone gets it in a way that other people don't get it. And you know, even like having people like homophobic people, like racist people, is absolutely just horrible to even come across them, but to have people who understand what you go through makes it better in a way. There needs to be so it's not as much like based around gay issues, it's more they need to say that left wing and right wing isn't like an equal and opposite spectrum. It is like one is literally based in truth and like history, and one is based on just talking points, denouncing people's rights and stuff like that. So just because when the media reports on like LGBT people, suddenly it's like, oh, you're a left-wing publication, you do this, you do that, like you don't care about right-wing people. Being gay isn't a political stance. Being gay is being gay. So why should you not report on being gay? And so it's this issue that we have in society where if you're left-wing, you suddenly don't care about other people, you only care about gay people or whatever it is, when being left-wing isn't like that at all. It's just, you know, caring about other people, but it's not seen that way. So I think a move to understand left-wing politics more thoroughly and, you know, not from, you know, a right-wing perspective would make it easier to report on gay issues and actually address them as issues in society rather than gay issues, because gay issues is an issue for us all to have on our shoulders rather than just gay people to have.
So for me, it's kind of been a bit of a weird one because I only came to realise myself and came out during quarantine. So it's kind of been a lot more soul searching almost. It's not really what I describe it with, but a lot more asking myself of, you know, how do I view myself? I haven't really been out in public much, I suppose. So the journey's kind of been, not much has happened, not much has changed for me aside from just being happier and more comfortable in my own skin kind of thing. I think looks though, obviously, you know, wearing a bright pink jacket, you get a lot of looks in public, but you know, I kind of like that in a way though, the fact that I stand out. So, well, I don't really surround myself with people who are, you know, part of the LGBT community anyway. So aside from people calling me by a different name, using different pronouns, not really massively. So, again, more glares in public, but because I worked at a couple of different places. I worked at a COVID testing place for a bit, and there I got them to use, you know, she, her pronouns, call me by Sky, and they were all perfectly fine with it. There was a couple of, you know, more traditional, not very, you know, down with the kids kind of people who were a bit against it at first, but everyone kind of on board with it. Obviously, you know, it's never going to be a perfect world. We try our best for it. It's never going to be. But I suppose I've been really lucky to work in, you know, very open, inclusive places. And at the moment, I work by myself. So but yeah, especially with walking certain shops and stuff, getting a lot of glares. From speaking to a lot of, you know, trans and non-binary friends that I know, it's especially accessing like hormone replacement therapy, and you know, even just getting started with that takes like 2.5 years these days. It's, you know, sure you can go private option, but not everyone can afford that. It kind of is a shame almost that it's so looked down upon. It's all because of politics. You know, the younger people don't vote these days as much as, you know, they would have been back in the day. So there's not really that appeal to get that from the government, but you know, eventually it'll come along. It's just trying to get there. Just trying to get consultations, you know, going to see a GP, then asking where it's going from there. You know, I've seen some of them, they've just been turned away at the door and they've been told that look into it in a couple of years' time because it's not going to happen anytime soon. And you don't want to be hearing that. You know, there's already enough, not discrimination, but you know, you already get enough weird looks in the street. You already get enough discrimination from, you know, other people, let alone them being told and turned away from the door at a GP. It's kind of, you know, it's kind of puts you down a bit. You don't choose it. It's not that kind of thing. The same as, you know, being gay. You don't choose it. You just are. I'm quite lucky that I don't really have much dysphoria that would be changed from hormone replacement therapy. So for myself, it doesn't make too much of a difference. But for other people, you know, mental health is it's already a lot of people struggle with it in the LGBT community. There's a lot more representation in, you know, more open medias rather than, you know, the traditional news sources. Like Tumblr and TikTok they're great for that. You know, social media platforms that are run by people almost. You know, most of the content on them is put there by the community. Then it's a lot more inclusive. You know, because it's not funneled down from corporations and such. God, it sounds very communist, doesn't it? During June, then yeah, absolutely, it's great during there. Everyone's on board, but the rest of the year, it's not really. There's the occasional, you know, mention, but it's never usually positive. It's, you know, you can't really bring many. You know, I can't really think of any examples because there aren't many. It's kind of a shame. Everyone comes across as kind of more feminine and more masculine. It's how they see themselves, isn't it? There definitely is kind of some expectations of if you're trans, then you should, you know, paint your nails and do that. But not generally from in the community there, though. But there is a bit of it. Ever since I realised, you know, there's been an upward tick. Not to say that I struggled with mental health or anything before, but it wasn't good for me. You know, I never used to, you know, feel happy walking outside, very insecure. Whereas now, you know, I'm a lot just happier just walking around, even, you know, going to a shop to order something in the shop, order food in a restaurant or something like that. It's, you know, wearing whatever I really want to wear and just feeling comfortable about it. You know, sure, I've got my own dysphorias and such, but I do just generally feel a lot happier in day-to-day life. I'm involved a lot online anyway. You know, a lot of gaming communities because I'm super cool like that. But but yeah, definitely, because it's such a supportive community as well. It's so easy to, you know, feel supported in that community. You know, anytime I feel down, I can go on Tumblr, I can go anything like that, and straight away, so many positive stories and just so many happy stories going on. It's a really nice way to, because it's not something that happens to everyone. Not everyone has, you know, a gay cousin or, you know, a transgender friend. They don't have that kind of window into the community, so they've got no reason to be involved and to learn about it. So I think also having to be educated in schools as well, that would be a massive thing. So there's definitely a lot of work that has to be done in the UK. There's a lot of change that could happen and really positively affect it, but yeah, it's all going to take a lot of time, and, you know, we'll get there eventually. So.